Hello dear students, good morning. Today's our class is about antidepressants. Let us have a silent prayer before starting our class. Okay, so in our previous class about psychiatric illness, antipsychotic drugs, we have discussed what are the different psychiatric illness. This is the same, just a repetition of what we have already learned in the previous class about psychiatric illnesses. It has got organic disorders with a clear underlying pathology, and actually antipsychotic drugs comes under functional disorders. Here we don't find any pathology in the brain, but still they are suffering from these disorders. Under that, we have already discussed about psychosis, which includes schizophrenia, paranoid state, etc. And now we are going to learn about affective disorders. Of this, first we will discuss about depression. After that, we will discuss mania. And there are other small, less serious conditions like neurosis, which include anxiety, phobia. All this we have discussed in the previous class. Now coming to our present class, that is about depression. So it is an affective disorder. Actually it is a clinical condition associated with what is, you may be knowing about what is depression, isn't it? It is associated with feeling of sadness, loss of interest, self-neglect, anorexia, sleep disturbances, and finally suicidal tendencies, etc. in severe cases. Actually, even though there is no pathology in the brain, some theories are put forward about the occurring of depression. And one such theory is biogenic amine theory. And this says that, proposes that depression is due to the deficiency of monoamines. In the brain, we know that there are neurotransmitters like noradrenaline, serotonin, etc. Then they are amines, monoamines, one amino acid, NH2. That is why they are called monoamines, like noradrenaline, serotonin. Its deficiency leads to decreased neurotransmission in the brain. So that is when these monoamines are decreased in the brain, that leads to the depression. That is the biogenic amine theory says. And what is the action of antidepressant? They try to increase the concentration of these amines in various ways in the brain, thus normalize the neurotransmission. For this, a lag of period of 2 to 4 weeks are required. Even though we start the therapy with our antidepressant, most of the drugs will take about 2 to 4 weeks time for the therapeutic response, which we observe later. So we have to wait till that time. Don't feel that this immediately you are not getting any effect. In case of most of the antidepressant, they will produce their therapeutic effect after 2 or 4 weeks therapy. Okay, that is a small introduction about the depression. Okay, these are signs and symptoms of depression, and what you see in a patient, that you can later look into different features of a depressive patient. Later this picture will show what are the usual pictures you will see, signs and symptoms. And now coming to the drugs used in as antidepressants are tricyclic antidepressant. Why it is called a tricyclic? It has got 3 cycles in their structure. But 3 benzene rings are there. That is why it is called tricyclic antidepressants, and in short form TCAs. Only 2 examples I have given under classification: imipramine and amitriptyline. There are many other drugs also. And selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, SSRI, short form we will say SSRI. That means they are the drugs which will increase the serotonin level in the brain, and it is more beneficial than in TCS. So under that comes some examples are fluoxetine, paroxetine, citalopram. And there are other group of drug is monoamine oxidase inhibitors. I told you, monoamines are the level is decreased in depression. We are going to increase the level, and this is one way, one method of increasing the monoamine level, because monoamine oxidase enzyme is the one which will metabolize and destroy the monoamines in the brain. So if we block this enzyme, that destruction will not occur and monoamines level increase. So monoamine oxidase inhibitors are used. Under that, there is one drug which is nowadays we are presently using is the moclobemide. Okay. Then beside these features, there are some miscellaneous group with a different mechanism of action but are useful in depression, that is come under atypical antidepressants: trazodone, bupropion, mirtazapine, venlafaxine, duloxetine, etc. Now coming to the first group, tricyclic antidepressant. As I told you, there is you can see in the picture 3 rings are there. That is why it is called tricyclic antidepressants. Okay. Now under that, we have under classification we have seen only 2 drugs, but there are other drugs also. They are subdivided into non-selective, which will increase the level of noradrenaline as well as 5-hydroxytryptamine, otherwise called serotonin. So non-selective group of TCAs will increase the level of noradrenaline and tryptamine, whereas the next group, that is predominantly noradrenaline, is increased, not serotonin. Now you can see that these are some of the examples. Under non-selective, amitriptyline, doxepin, etc., dothepin, etc., whereas predominantly noradrenaline only is increased is desipramine, nortriptyline, reboxetine, amoxapine. In case of amoxapine, not only noradrenaline but also dopamine. DA stands for dopamine. So this is the tricyclic antidepressants available. And mechanism of action of TCAs are, they inhibit the reuptake of noradrenaline in neurons. This I will explain in the next slide with the picture. That we have already mentioned that after the release of noradrenaline from the neurons, majority of these taken up back into the neurons. If you remember the adrenergic class of mine, you may be knowing that many of them molecules after release, it is again reuptaken into the neurons and stored again. But this reuptake is inhibited by these TCAs. Therefore, it will increase the noradrenaline and enhance in the brain, enhance the availability of noradrenaline receptors in the CNS, thereby correct the receptor action and useful for the treatment of depression. This is the picture. I will tell you, that is, we have already seen this type of picture in our adrenergy class. In the adrenergy class, we have seen that noradrenaline is synthesized and stored in the neuronal endings. After that, they are released, and after release, many of these few molecules are necessary for its action on the postsynaptic receptors. Majority of the receptors are taken back, and this uptake, most of the molecules released is again reuptaken and restored. Instead that, when we use tricyclic antidepressant, they prevent after release many molecules are released and its reuptake is inhibited. Therefore, the molecules will be more molecules will be accumulated in this gap, and they can act on the receptors. Okay. Actually, these receptors in monoamine deficiency, the receptors become become functionally deficient in their activities. But when they get more of the molecules by this tricyclic they can act properly and can correct depression. And in depression, it is said that the receptor activity also is decreased in the absence of monoamines. When it get more molecules of monoamines like noradrenaline, serotonin, etc., they can act on the receptors in a better way and can correct the depression. So this is the picture which will say that will inhibit the reuptake. What is meant by reuptake? After release, reuptaken back. That reuptake is inhibited by tricyclic antidepressants. Okay. Then about the TCA's pharmacological action in the CNS effects in depressed patient, drug effects include mood elevation. As I told you that receptor correction everything will take about 2 to 3 weeks time. So that is why you don't expect an immediate response, therapeutic response, but mood elevation can occur only after 2 to 3 weeks time. Patient become more communicative and get interested in self and surroundings, and awakenings, night sleep disturbance are also corrected, awakenings during nights are reduced. These are the CNS effects, and that is what we need. But by the by, along with the CNS beneficial effects, definitely there will be some adverse effects with this drug. One is it has gotten potent anticholinergic effects because cholinergic receptors are blocked. Therefore, the patient feel dry mouth, blurring of vision, constipation, and urinary hesitancy. And some histamine action also is antihistaminic-like action. You know what is antihistaminic? These are the drugs used in allergy, histamine receptors blocking. That also is done by the antidepressant. Therefore, you will get side effects like sedation. Sedation one way is good. When the patient gets sleepless nights, sedation partly may be beneficial. But along with that, there will be a drowsy and mental confusion because of antihistaminic action. And severe side effects can cause tachycardia, and some antidepressant cause arrhythmias, and postural BP fall can occur due to alpha adrenergic receptor blocking effect by some of the antidepressants. So these are the adverse effects. Other side effects are increased appetite. The patient gets increased appetite. Along with that, he takes more food and weight gain. And also another side effect is seizure level. Threshold level for seizure is decreases. As a result, there is a tendency for seizures, so that can worsen the epilepsy in the epileptic patients. And along with the adverse effects, we have to think of drug interaction by the TCAs reduce the action of some antihypertensives are used. Which antihypertensive? Guanethrin, clonidine. Their action is decreased by because they do not usually these drugs get entry into the neurons and produce it. Since the TCAs are the drugs which will prevent the uptake of the transmitters, and also the drugs will not get taken up into the neurons. As a result, the action of these drugs are reduced. And another side drug interaction is phenytoin aspirin. Phenytoin is an anti-epileptic drug. Aspirin is an NSAID. They will increase the toxicity of the TCAs. And another drug interaction is phenobarbital. That is an anti-epileptic drug and a sedative, and carbamazepine. These drugs also, they can increase the metabolism of the TCA and reduce their effect. Okay, so TCA's response is decreased in presence of anti-epileptic drugs. Okay, these are some of the drug interaction. So now we have discussed the mechanism of action and pharmacological effect in the CNS, other adverse effects. Now coming to the clinical uses. As I told you, it is used in endogenous depression, but nowadays we use SSRI with less side effects. SSRI is the selective serotonin receptor uptake inhibitors, reuptake inhibitors. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Nowadays we prefer that. Similarly, OCD and phobic states. Now, for that also SSRI preferred. And this one, neuropathic pain. It is usually following the herpes infection in the body, virus infection. There is the neurons are affected. There will be severe pain and diabetic induced pain. For all this, we can use the TCAs. And enuresis in children more than 5 years. Usually, TCA imipramine is preferred. And migraine prophylaxis also we can use TCA. The commonly used one is amitriptyline for that purpose. And if there is severe itching otherwise called pruritus, most of the skin condition produce. And so in the dermatological department you can see they add antidepressant like TCAs in order to control the severe itching associated with skin conditions. That is all about the tricyclic antidepressant. We have seen mechanism of action, uses, adverse effects, etc. Now coming to the second group, antidepressant classification. Second group is called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, in small form SSRI. Sometimes your short note can be asked about SSRI. It's often seen in your question papers. It is otherwise called second generation antidepressant. These are the drugs, some of the drugs. There are many other drugs. Very commonly used ones are fluoxetine, fluoxamine, paroxetine, sertraline, citalopram, etc. And what is the reaction? Is unlike the TCAs mainly act on the both noradrenaline and serotonin receptors. But here, this SSRI, they are selectively inhibit the serotonin reuptake. They act on the serotonergic neurons and they increase their concentration in the synaptic cleft and improve the postsynaptic serotonergic transmission receptor action. So there are many serotonergic, just like noradrenergic neurons in the collection and release from the neurons in the brain. Similarly, there are serotonin is also, there are neurons where the serotonin get stored and released. And when their activity is decreased, then serotonin storage and release is decreased, there is chance for depression. So our purpose of these antidepressants are, they just like TCA prevent the reuptake of serotonin after its release. Therefore its concentration increase in the synaptic cleft, and these increased neuron molecules of serotonin can act on the receptors and correct the receptor action. They do not interfere with other neurotransmitters like noradrenaline, dopamine transmission. Therefore, it has got less side effects than TCA. That is why SSRI is preferred. It has got less side effects. Just like the previous, here it is a serotonin neuron, serotonergic neurons, where the serotonin is stored in the granules, in the storage granules, and released. After release, just like noradrenaline, they are reuptaken. But here our drug act, SSRI act in this level. You can see SSRI act in this level, prevent the reuptake of neurons back into the neurons. As a result, it's a concentration increase in this synapse, and the increased concentration act on the different receptors of serotonin receptors and correct the receptor action and produce the response. Okay. Now, what is the advantage of SSRI? Why we prefer SSRI nowadays? Because anticholinergic side effects, postural hypertension, etc. of the TCAs are absent. Non-neurological like seizure side effect, arrhythmia side effects, all these are absent or very minimal in case of SSRI. Similarly, weight gain and sedation. Okay, that is why we prefer SSRI nowadays. Physician, psychiatrist use SSRI better than TCA because of the side effects are less. But it has got some adverse effects: GIT upset, sexual impotence, decreased sexual desire, that is called libido, anxiety, insomnia also can be seen with the as a side effects with SSRI. And drug interaction. Since serotonin level is increased, when these drugs are combined with other drugs which will increase serotonin level, they can produce a syndrome called serotonin syndrome. This is seen with the MAO inhibitors. It is another antidepressant, pethidine, narcotic drug, and tramadol, another pain reliever. So with this drug, they can produce a drug interaction causing what will be the manifestation when they are combined with, you can see agitation, twitching, convulsions, etc. Okay. And similarly, another drug interaction is SSRI itself can inhibit the metabolism of other TCAs. When they are given other drugs which are combined with TCA and psychotic, if it is combined, their action will increase and become toxic. If warfarin, what is warfarin? It is an anticoagulant. If you are combining, suppose a patient is taking SSRI with warfarin concentration level will increase. It is being an anticoagulant, it will cause severe bleeding in the internally as well as externally. So SSRI can inhibit the metabolism of, that is another drug interaction, and serotonin syndrome when SSRI is combined with these drugs. Okay, so some of the adverse effects, etc. So what is the clinical uses of just like TCA, nowadays drug of choice. DOC stands for drug of choice, endogenous depression, and also preferred for prophylaxis of recurrence. Suppose the patient is getting repeated depressive episodes. For that case, we can prevent the depression by giving SSRI. There are some other uses, that is panic. Some patients is in nature they become panic soon. Social phobias. They are afraid to go to the social gatherings, such are called social phobias. Obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, that we have already discussed. Post traumatic stress disorder. Some people will be having eating disorder. Then kleptomania. You know what is stealing habit from unnecessary stealing, that is anxiety disorders. Usually in women before menstruation there will be menstrual tension, and in male premature ejaculation. On all these clinical uses, SSRI is so we have found its mechanism of action, uses, and adverse effects. Now in the antidepressant class, which are the classes? And tricyclic antidepressant, selective SSRI. So these two we have already discussed. Then comes the monoamine oxidase inhibitors, MAOI. I stands for inhibitors. Now then we have to discuss atypical. Now we will discuss about monoamine oxidase. First of all, let us see what is monoamine oxidase enzymes. So monoamine MAO inhibitors are the monoamine oxidase enzyme inhibitors. And what is monoamine? Monoamine is an enzyme which is involved in the metabolism of or destruction of the noradrenaline, serotonin, tyramine, dopamine, etc. There are two forms of MAO in our body. One is MAO A is responsible for the metabolism of noradrenaline, serotonin, and tyramine, whereas MAO B is more selective for dopamine metabolism. Okay, non-selective MAO inhibitors inhibit non-selective. There are MAO inhibitors. There are two types. One is non-selective, means that will inhibit both MAO and B. Example, phenelcin. But the problem is that such drugs has got more side effects and drug interaction with certain food, which we call it as cheese reaction. I will explain what is it. Cheese reaction. When cheese is taken in a patient who is using non-selective MAO, there will be severe hypertension is noted. I will tell you in the next slide. I will explain what is cheese reaction. And with certain drugs, symptomatic drugs, cold remedy drug, and cough syrup, certain cough syrup is taken along with this group. That is why these non-selective MAO inhibitors are not used nowadays. Instead, we are using selective MAO inhibitor, A inhibitor, which is concerned with only noradrenaline, tryptamine, etc. and has less side effects, clobimide. And let us see what is the food reaction we have just mentioned. This is what, when a patient is on MAO inhibitor, suppose the patient is taking MAO, consume food stuff rich in tyramine. Certain foodstuff contain excessive tyramine molecules like cheese, fish, meat, beer, wine, yeast preparations and all. When we take such foods, these patients on MAO inhibitors, especially non-selective MAO inhibitors, they may result in the fatal severe hypertension crisis, and this may followed by stroke or cerebrovascular accidents in the brain, and that is a real problem when the patient is taking MAO non-selective. Especially this is seen with the non-selective. That is why nowadays, this is because what happens when the food rich in tyramine is consumed, tyramine escape since this drug MAO is an enzyme which will degrade the tyramine in our body, but that is not occurring because we are using MAO inhibitors. So the tyramine level increase in the body, in gut and liver, and reaches the blood circulation, and after reaching the neurons, when the blood circulates, it reaches the neurons, it will displace large quantities of noradrenaline. It is taken up into the noradrenergic neurons, and from there it will release more of noradrenaline from the nerve endings. That will lead to very high blood pressure, high rise in blood pressure, and you will get hypertensive crisis. That situation is called, and stroke. This cheese reaction is very common with non-selective MAO inhibitors. That means both the MAO and B inhibitor. Less with selective MAO A inhibitor, moclobemide. That is why we are using moclobemide nowadays. See, this is the selective MAO inhibitor A. The another property is that moclobemide is reversible inhibitor, whereas phenelzine, non-selective MAO inhibitor, is an irreversible inhibitor of MAO. That is, since it is a reversible inhibitor of MAO, it belongs to one group called RIMA. RIMA stands for reversible inhibitor of MAO A. That is what the RIMA is. And they inhibit the metabolism, and also reversible. That is the advantage. If you stop the drug, you will regain the enzyme activity, so they can destroy the excessive thiramine and all. But in case of non-selective, they are irreversible. Therefore, once the enzyme is blocked, it is blocked forever. So, no effect of enzymes can be noticed later. But in moclobemide, if you stop the drug, MAO activity is regained. They inhibit the metabolism. Moclobemide inhibit the metabolism of monoamines like YHT and noradrenaline, increase their concentration in the brain, therefore useful in the treatment of depression. Cheese reaction is rare with moclobemide. It is also devoid of anticholinergic, alpha-adrenergic blocking and sedative effects, unlike TCS. Uses of moclobemide. Moclobemide is, even though it is a very good drug, it is used mainly in the elderly patients. There is chances for BP fall is more with the elderly patients, since moclobemide does not produce such BP fall. They can be safely used in elderly patients. In moderate hypertension, not in severe depression, moderate depression and social phobias and all, moclobemide is very useful, especially in elderly patients. Now we have finished about MAO inhibitor. The one used is moclobemide, and we have seen its advantages over the non-selective MAO inhibitor, and we have also learned about the cheese reaction. And the classification we have seen under antidepressant, tricyclic TCS is over, SSRI is over, MAO inhibitors are also over. Now lastly we will learn about the atypical antidepressant. Some of the atypical antidepressant, why they are called atypical? Because they have special or additional mechanism of actions, unlike the which we have already discussed groups. And another property is that their side effects, anticholinergic, adrenergic, cardiac side effects are very less. However, they are less efficacious than typical drugs. Still, because of its least side effects, they are found to be useful in the present day. And another advantage is that faster onset of action. What is the antidepressant action time duration for the onset of action? About 2 to 3 weeks. Whereas this group of drugs will act fast within 1 day or 2 days itself. Examples are trazodone, bupropion, mirtazapine, venlafaxine, duloxetine. Okay. Trazodone, only special uses only I am mentioning in this about atypical. Trazodone is very useful in cases of obsessive compulsive disorder. Bupropion used for stopping smoking and reduce the craving for smoking. Therefore, in those who wants to stop the smoking, this can be given along with the nicotine patch. Nicotine patch is another drug which is combined with the bupropion to stop smoking. About mirtazapine, useful in patient with insomnia because it will induce good sleep. So the depression with the sleep disturbances can use mirtazapine. Venlafaxine is mainly used in menopausal syndrome in women and also in the eating disorders. Duloxetine used for pain associated with diabetic neuropathic pain, muscle pain associated with in the diabetic patients. So these are some of the special uses. Mechanism also action is special, and not unlike the previous one, and unlike the inhibition of reuptake, etc. So this comes under atypical antidepressant. And duloxetine also useful in stress urinary incontinence. Some women, in elderly, especially in elderly people, any stress or cough comes, the early urine passes. That is called stress urinary incontinence in women. So duloxetine is found useful for such conditions. Now we have finished depression, antidepressant drugs, otherwise called anti-manic drugs. Antidepressant drugs we have finished. Under affective disorder we have seen that there are two group of diseases. One is depression, another is manic. So anti-manic or mood stabilizing drugs for bipolar disorders. Why this is called bipolar disorders? Bipolar disorder is the otherwise called manic depressive illness. This is also called mania. Simply called mania because it is a psychiatric disorder in which the patient feel depression for some period, and after that mania, with the mania, and affect that is manifest as what is mania. It is clinical manifestations are patient is very aggressive, agitated, hyperactivity, uncontrolled thought and speech, etc. That is the mania. So the patient may be quiet for some period, alternately after some time they become manic or highly excited and aggressive, agitated behavior is seen, and after that again there may be depression. That is why this is called bipolar disorder. And the drugs used is that drugs for bipolar disorder and mood stabilizing, that is depression alternating with mania can be stopped, and mood stabilization occurs, otherwise also called anti-manic drugs. The best drug, the most famous drug under this group is lithium, because lithium is the first drug used for the treatment of mania. It was introduced in 1949, and Food and Drug Administration authorities in USA approved this in 1970. Afterwards it was very commonly used drugs, and other drugs along with other lithium is the best and used drugs, and other alternative drugs are the anti-epileptic drugs like sodium valproate, carbamazepine, lamotrigine, etc., and some antipsychotic. Because in the mania, lithium will act slowly. So by the time for the acute management of manic state, manic alternated with depression. So if the patient comes with mania, severe agitation, hyperactivity, aggressiveness, you can immediately manage with antipsychotic, potent antipsychotic haloperidol or olanzapine, and after that you can give you can give the lithium. Lithium will act, it will take time. By the time you can control the mania by giving antipsychotics. Along with the lithium, you can also use anti-epileptic drugs like sodium valproate, carbamazepine, lamotrigine. All these are used under epilepsy. Okay. Now coming to the mechanism of action. Lithium has got a special mechanism, which is no exact mechanism is not clear. Actually it is a monovalent. What is valency is 1, that is cation. It is a monovalent cation, similar, that mimic the role of sodium, just like sodium with one cation with a single valency, that is monovalent cation like sodium. This also, lithium also is a monovalent cation. Okay, and it modifies the neurotransmission in the brain. The brain, however, it corrects the brain and reduces the motor activity, decreases euphoria, excitement is decreased, relieves insomnia, and stabilizes the mood. That is the mechanism action, pharmacological effect of the lithium. Lithium produces no immediate effect. That is what I told. Therapeutic effects seen after 1 or 2 weeks. Therefore, for acute management, antipsychotic like haloperidol, potent antipsychotic like haloperidol or olanzapine is given. And another peculiarity of lithium is that it is a very dangerous drug. Slight increase in dose can produce very severe adverse effects, even coma, death, etc. So that means it has got a very low therapeutic index. You may be knowing what is meant by therapeutic index. Safety margin is very low. Hence, what you should do, because the safety margin is very low and a slightly higher dose can produce danger. In that situation, what you have to do is the therapeutic drug monitoring. Take the blood sample frequently and give to the laboratories and find out the concentration of the lithium in the blood. And it is essential for this phenomena is essential for the optimal therapy. Normal value of lithium in the blood is 0.5 to 1.5 millimole per liter. If this level overcomes, if the patient getting excessive higher doses of lithium and the plasma concentration is more than this level, more than 1.5 millimole per liter, severe adverse effects can be seen, and that will become toxic and can even lead to the death of the patient. So one important thing you have to do when you start the lithium therapy, you have to check the therapeutic drug, sending the samples to the blood sample to the lab and checking the normal level concentration. And what is the pharmacokinetic, it's absorption, metabolism, etc. Lithium is it is always given orally, because it can act slowly, that no immediate effect is seen. So you can give only orally and excreted in urine, just like sodium, how it is absorbed and excreted in the urine, just like that it is also a cation, monovalent cation. Therefore, since it is excreted in urine, suppose the patient has got any renal problem, renal insufficiency, lithium will not be excreted and it can accumulate in the body, causing toxicity and severe side effects. And lithium can also be excreted in sweat, saliva. In sweat also we know that sodium is excreted. You will get a salty feeling for our sweat. This is because of the sodium content. Similarly, lithium also can be excreted in our sweat, saliva and milk, etc. Kidney, in case of what happens in the kidney, lithium kidney handles the act in the lithium just in the same way as sodium. That means suppose you are just like a sodium, kidney understand that it is almost equal to lithium. Therefore, if you are taking excessive sodium salt, common salt, that is taken in your food, that cation, monovalent cation, since being high in the body, that will increase the excretion of another monovalent cation of our lithium and thus decrease the level of lithium. If you are taking more excessive sodium salt in your food or in other ways, it will reaches the body and there is chance for increased excretion of lithium and decreased therapy. So you will not get the good therapeutic effect. Similarly, suppose you are reducing, suppose there is the patient is having diarrhea, vomiting, and suppose he is taking some diuretics which will remove the sodium from the body. So what happens? One monovalent is deficient, therefore it will increase the level of lithium, decrease the excretion of lithium and causing increased lithium concentration and lithium toxicity. See, so sodium and kidney handles lithium and sodium in the same way. So if one is increased, the another is decreased, and one is decreased, another is increased. Similarly, excess sodium is taken, more lithium is decreased, and you will not get the therapeutic effect of lithium. Similarly, if the patient is having some problem vomiting, more sodium is removed from the body, lithium excretion of lithium is decreased and its concentration increases in the body, causing lithium toxicity. And diuretics, NSAID also increase the other diuretics also, NSAID also can increase the lithium concentration in the brain. Other adverse effects of the lithium coming under GIT, it can causes lithium, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. In the CNS, tremor, ataxia, drowsiness, muscular weakness, slurred speech. And renal, polyuria, polydipsia due to that, because lithium can also inhibit ADH. What is ADH? Anti-diuretic hormone. antidiuretic hormones is the hormone in our body from the brain, and it will suppress the diuretic effect. But since our drug lithium can inhibit ADH, it will act in a reverse way. That is, it will increase the urine output and increase thirst and causing diabetes. That feature is called diabetes insipidus, not diabetes mellitus. Increased glucose level called diabetes mellitus. This is the because of the increased urine output and increased thirst. All this can cause the diabetes insipidus. That condition is called diabetes insipidus because of the inhibition of antidiuretic hormone. And also lithium can cause goiter, hypothyroidism and goiter and weight gain. And what happens, suppose we are not controlling the level of lithium toxicity is dangerous because it may produce CNS effects like confusion, convulsion, serious cardiac arrhythmias. Finally, coma and death even can occur with lithium. That is why lithium is to be very carefully used in the clinical side. And what are the uses of lithium? As I told you, bipolar mood disorder as usual. And in acute mania, as I told you, this has got slow action. Therefore, it is to be always given in combination with the potent antipsychotic like haloperidol. And suppose there is the patient is getting repeated depression or depression alternate, that given you can give depression. Suppose the patient is having depression for some time, then he become normal, and again depression, again normal, like that. That is called recurrent or resistant depression. In that situation also, lithium is useful. And lithium has another property to increase the WBC count. With some unknown mechanism, it will increase in the circulating blood WBC. Suppose the patient suppose a cancer patient getting cancer chemotherapy, there is chance for suppression of the bone marrow and decreased WBC count. That is called chemotherapy induced leukopenia. In that situation, if you are giving to such patients lithium, instead of leukopenia there will be increased count of WBC, or it's called leukocytosis, and that is very beneficial to prevent infection, etc. And another is inappropriate ADH secretion. Suppose the excessive ADH secretion, that is called SIADH, SIADH, inappropriate ADH secretion syndrome. ADH secretion syndrome, SIADH, is called that this is excessive ADH secretion. ADH means antidiuretic hormone. So this excessive release can be prevented by giving lithium and normalizing. These are other uses. So now we have completed the drugs for depression. Under depression, we have seen that there are 4 groups: tricyclic antidepressant, SSRI, MAO inhibitor, and finally atypical. And after that, we have learned about another affective disorder, that is mania, anti-manic drug, or otherwise called mood stabilizing drug, or the drugs for bipolar disorder. That is, under that, the most important drug is lithium. But there are some other drugs commonly, as I told you in the beginning, MDP. What is MDP? Manic depressive psychosis, otherwise called bipolar mood disorder. Another drugs are used. These are the drugs used in epilepsy also. Newer drugs under epilepsy. That drugs are found to be especially lamotrigine, topiramate, gabapentin. These 3 are newer ones. The others are old ones itself in the treatment of epilepsy. That also is because since it is a neuronal disorder, this drugs, the anti-epileptic drugs, which neuronally it has got some action that can suppress this action. Therefore, these drugs are found to be useful. These are the drugs used in epilepsy that is found to be useful. And for mania, as I told you, the exaggerated behavior or agitated behavior, aggressive behavior, if the patient comes in that state, I told you bipolar disorder means mania alternating with depression and repeated like that. So suppose the patient comes with mania, if it cannot be uncontrollable situation, we can give the potent antipsychotic drug haloperidol, olanzapine, risperidone, etc. These are without benzodiazepines are the drugs given for sedation. This patient will not be having sleep. There will be sleep disturbances. In order to clear that, you have to correct that, we can add the sedative drug benzodiazepine along with these antipsychotic drugs. So thus we finish this depression and some nursing points is how the nurses should be responsible if they are treating a patient with depression or mania. First of all, you have to educate the patient about the adverse effects and drug interactions. Certain drugs cannot be used along with that. We have seen some drug interactions, isn't it? So you should also know which are the drugs the patient taking. When suppose most of the patients will be having other illnesses, there will be some medicines, and you have to check that from the patient history. You should find out, and then ask the patient not to take any drugs as self-medication, because in fear of drug interaction, possible drug interaction, severe drug interaction we have already seen, and they are seen, especially suppose the patient is antidepressant drug TCS, they take NSAID. What is NSAID? Used for the aspirin, brufen, pyroxicam, etc. All these are the drugs which will relieve the pain. Suppose the patient take them without asking the psychiatrist, treating psychiatrist, he may take some medicines from the over the counter from the medical shop. Simply ask for pain relief and they will give some medicines. And suppose such things are used, there is chances for severe drug interaction. It will increase the toxicity of TCS. And the second thing they have to tell the patient, they must understand. The patient must understand the most of the antidepressant will take about 2 to 3 weeks time to produce any clinical therapeutic response. And the patient, you have to check the patient whether he is having persistent headache. This may be a warning sign for the rising BP in patient taking MAO inhibitors. By the way, all these family members are also educated about the need to monitor whether the patient is taking the drug regularly. That is family members should be very alert in that aspect, especially in the case of patients who has attempted suicidal tendency. Those who are with suicidal tendency, they to be instructed to take, the family members should be alert to give them the medicines regularly without any break. Okay. Lithium is a drug that, as I told you, narrow safety margin. Very dangerous drug. If a slight increase in dose can produce death. Hence, therapeutic drug monitoring. That is, what is therapeutic drug monitoring? Taking the blood sample, sending to the lab and find out the concentration. And after getting the concentration, you have to, suppose it is going above the normal level. What is the normal level of lithium in the blood? 0.5 to 1.5 millimoles per liter. So yet if it is going above that level, there is chances for toxicity. You have to reduce the dose of lithium. And also yet we have seen the lithium toxicity, convulsions, etc. If anything is noticed, you have to report immediately to the treating doctor. And also you have to be very much careful. Suppose the patient is having diarrhea, vomiting, in all this there is increased excessive excretion of sodium is there. So if sodium is more excreted, what happens? Lithium will retain in the body to make up that monovalent cation deficiency. So diarrhea and vomiting, and similarly diuretics like furosemide, that also will excrete more sodium from the body. And also thiazide, another diuretic is thiazide, can cause sodium depletion and can result in lithium toxicity. Okay, sir, some of the important nursing points. With that, we finish our class on affective disorder, depression and mania. Thank you. God bless you.